that has gone to this point, then we have everything that you need today. We're going to do all of that on today's show. We're going to talk about the big Baylor game on Saturday, what the new look might look like for Oklahoma State, and then we're also going to talk Jalen Montonati. So, hey, if you're joining right now, let everybody know that OState Daily is live right now. We are on the air, and we would love for you to come on over and join the chat and be a part of today's show and talk about what you want. So let's dive into the football part of it first. Let's talk about everything that happened this week. Of course, we've had like 17 shows on that, so I don't really want to rehash what happened with Coach Gundy. What I do want to talk about is what today needs to look like, what it would look like. You know, we've talked about a couple of different times that, you know, either you're selling success or you're selling hope. Well, I think at this point, it's about selling hope. And the reason why I really liked what a lot of things that Doug Meacham said in his first interview as the interim head coach for Oklahoma State, you know, he was really to the point. It wasn't like super exciting. It wasn't like a Coach Gundy press conference where there was an entertainment factor to it. You could tell that Doug Meacham was not doing this conversation or this interview that he was doing for any kind of entertainment value for the fans or anybody watching it. He was just simply doing it just to get the information out that he wanted to. And so I say that to say you kind of had to cherry pick the exciting parts of it. The most exciting part was he really emphasized that the kids need to have fun. They need to go out and have fun, and they need to, just enjoy playing football for Oklahoma State again, which, hey, I think if you read between the lines, I think he identified that was one of the biggest issues, is that it just was stale. Nobody was having fun. And when you're not having fun, it's hard to be motivated and find the best version of yourself. So how do you have fun on a baseball or on a football field when you're probably going to get beat, which, hey, you never know. That's why you tee it up. Zane Flores played a lot better last week. I think Rodney Fields had a good game running the ball. I think the defense, especially in the second half, figured some things out, and they started playing well. So you absolutely never, ever, ever know what can happen. The Oklahoma State Cowboys easily could go out, not easily, but they could go out and win this game today. You just never know, especially if Baylor comes in and doesn't play well. Oklahoma State has some new stuff they're doing, and you get off to – so the biggest part of this to me, Oklahoma State has to get off to a good start. So it can't be the woe is me. It can't be the Oregon effect where, 3 plays in, you feel like the game is over, that kind of deal. It's got to be a situation to where Coach Meacham spent all week dialing up maybe, so we saw last week that especially in week 1 at home with UT Martin, the first couple of series were scripted. It looked like they were awesome. Oklahoma State went down and scored. Last week even, you had that good first series, and then you just stalled. And it just kind of felt like, oh, man, we're stalling against Tulsa. That's kind of a precursor of things to come, and it was. So I think it's very, very, very imperative that Coach Meacham today draw up more than just one series worth of scripts, and then also not just draw up a script that's going to make it fun to watch for Oklahoma State fans to watch this offense. Because I'm telling you, if Oklahoma State comes out today and they go right down the field on Baylor when they get the ball first, and they go down and score a touchdown, and it's fun and it's exciting and it's all of that, Oklahoma State fans are going to feel like a weight lifted off their shoulder. Like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for. Even for the most strongest fan that defends Mike Gundy to the nth degree, even that person would have to watch that product and go, okay, I can get into this, right? So I think it's very important that Doug Meacham dial up some very creative but simple enough plays to where the Cowboys can execute it. You don't want to go out there and run a quadruple reverse and throw a pick six, and next thing you know, your offense has got you in a 7-0 hole. You don't want to do that. but maybe like a Sam Jackson package where you're running some read option. Maybe you line up Sam Jackson at the slot, and then he comes in at quarterback, and then Zane Flores goes in motion and goes out at receiver, and then you run a read option and you get 8 yards, right? And Sam Jackson looks fun running the ball, or whatever. It may just something like that that's actually fairly simple to execute, but Oklahoma State fans get excited about, and then it works. That's what Coach Meacham is tasked to do today. He's capable of doing that, and I say all that to say, when I hear Coach Meacham say it needs to be fun, what he's saying there, he's not saying that, hey, Oklahoma State needs to go out and run triple reverses in halfback. He's not saying that we don't. I mean, you might see some of that stuff, some of that trickeration, but what he's really saying is the base package of offense and defense, the effort level, all of that needs to have a higher entertainment value for everybody involved. And that's what we have all been saying. So I'm super excited about that. And I think that the big question coming into today and for the rest of this year is, okay, was Mike Gundy putting his thumbs on the offense to the point to where his offensive coordinators couldn't function properly? Was he forcing them to be more plain and vanilla than anybody wanted them to be? We are going to get a chance to see that today. We are going to get a chance to see if Coach Gundy was affecting this offense in a negative way. That is a very interesting aspect, probably the most interesting aspect to today's game for me, is to watch that element of it. If we go out and we see inside zone, outside zone, we see a couple of slants, we see some play action, and just your bubble screens, and then a couple of long fade patterns down to the single side down the far boundary on 3rd and 12. If that's what we see today, then we'll know that that's what Doug Meacham is, and that's just kind of what he knows. But if we start seeing, varied blocking fronts up front, blocking schemes up front, if we start seeing varied personnel packages and all those kinds of different interesting things that make the simple things look more complicated and make the simple things look more fun, if we start seeing those kinds of things, I think we're going to have our answer right away. So win, lose, or draw, which the most likely scenario is lose. I don't want to be negative. I hate to say that, but I have to be realistic at the same time. The most likely scenario is lose, even in the face of that. Let's make it fun, and to the fans, regardless of what happens this week, regardless of what happens, keep showing up. Okay, keep showing up, because we keep talking about, this needs to look like a big-time program for the next coach. I'm different. I'm all in on Colin Klein. I think Colin Klein, in my opinion, is head and shoulders above anybody else that I think Oklahoma State could go get. That's from a toughness perspective. That's from a cultural fit perspective. That's from an understanding what's going to make an Oklahoma State tick type perspective. That's from I think Oklahoma State could keep Colin Klein for a long time. I think he would make this program different than everybody else. I think if Zach Robinson comes in, you're going to get the standard offense that everybody else has. You're going to be doing what everybody else in college football already does. Oklahoma State needs to do something different, but not to the degree like Jeff Monken if he brought in the flex bone. I mean, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go Georgia Tech from 10 years ago, but you need to do something that's different. I think Colin Klein would bring a sense of being different than everybody else. I think he would bring a sense of toughness that Oklahoma State fans would fall in love with. I think he would bring a sense of toughness that would differentiate us from the rest of the league, and I think Colin Klein would have a massive amount of success. I think Zach Robinson would have the potential to be good, but there's going to be a lot of barriers there, and also I don't think he's going to leave the NFL. If Zach Robinson comes to Oklahoma State, it's going to be because the NFL thing did not work out for him, which means Oklahoma State has been plan B for him, not plan A. You can believe anything that you want to believe about Zach Robinson. People can say all they want. It did not happen. It hasn't happened yet. And so the proof is going to be in the pudding. I don't believe any of it. You can believe what you want. There's just do the logistics of it and think for yourself as far as that situation goes. So if Zach Robinson does come to Oklahoma State, it's because his NFL career has been derailed. In the NFL, you don't have to recruit. You don't have to deal with regents. As happy as we are about, some of us are about the fact that Oklahoma State was aggressive with this situation. They were proactive. They bet on themselves. It's still never a good deal when the regents are as involved as they are at Oklahoma State. In the NFL, you don't have to deal. You just have to show up and you have to coach. So we're going to see how that situation plays out, but that's where I would be on that. And then Jalen Montonati, hey, some thoughts on him. Fantastic that Oklahoma State got him. Kudos to Steve Lutz, one of my good buddies who's one of my co-hosts on our Dodgers Daily podcast, was the Oklahoma City University head coach for many years. He's now at Portland University, got a gig out there, took that. He's from originally the Los Angeles area, the Whittier area. And so going back to the West Coast was attractive to him. And so, he knows Steve Lutz because he was in the head coaching ranks. He's been in the Division I coaching ranks forever. He will tell you Steve Lutz is a great dude, great coach, and he is burning the midnight oil. And I'll say this, okay? Yes, he is legacy. Yes, he understands how great Gallagher-Iba Arena could be again. Yes, all of that, Oklahoma State, all those advantages. But I promise you, Brian Montonati would not suggest that his kid come to Oklahoma State unless he knew that all of the ducks were in a row and that the coach here was doing all the things that a coach here should be doing to create a successful program. So I think, yes, it is legacy, but hey, we saw Billy Gasparino's son didn't come here. That's not because Oklahoma State, doesn't have a lot to offer. That's just simply because Billy Gasparino's son grew up in Los Angeles and didn't want to come to the small town scene. That's the reason there. But I'll say this, when we do get a legacy guy, I know, hey, this next football coach doesn't. As a matter of fact, I'm promoting Colin Klein over one of the favorite sons here at Oklahoma State, Zach Robinson. So obviously I'm promoting the fact that I don't think it has to be an OSU guy that comes in next. Although kind of K-State and Oklahoma State, they have a lot of similarities. So Colin Klein, while he didn't play here, it's going to feel like he did if he became the head coach here because he played at such a similar university under such a similar type coach in Bill Snyder. That was, the legend at Kansas State, the same way that Coach Gundy was here. So I think that part of it would be, very OSU-ish, although he didn't play here. But I say that to say, when you get a legacy guy, it does mean more to Oklahoma State fans. Whenever it feels like you're keeping one of your own family members, to everybody, that's a special moment. And so very cool that Jalen Montonati chose Oklahoma State. Very cool that Steve Lutz appears to be building this basketball program the correct way and doing a good job. And hey, it's easier in basketball because you have fewer players to go get. You don't need as much money, right? In football, you need to build a roster of 100 guys. That takes quite a bit more time. And then Oklahoma State, we have a wonderful arena. We need to fill that thing up. They're bringing the curtains back, which I think sucks. I think Oklahoma State, the admin needs to continue to show Oklahoma State fans this is not acceptable. Don't bail the fans out by putting a curtain out there. Don't move fans from the middle court of the 300 level down to the corners of whatever it may be to different seats. Okay. Let's have the standards higher and let's say, hey, let's get better and let's start filling up the Gallagher-Iba we have now. The curtain thing, you're probably going to disagree. It's a bailout. It's embarrassing for Oklahoma State. That is a total embarrassment that Oklahoma State basketball men's has to put out a freaking curtain to hide the fact that it has no support behind it. We are better than that. I would prefer, again, we continue to hold the fans to the fire on that. Just, hey, continue to show what Gallagher-Iba looks like right now and then what it needs to become, and then let's fill it up from that perspective. I just think if they put the curtain down and try to make it look better on TV, it's going to make OSU fans and people think that it's actually better than it's better than it is. But bottom line is, if you win, then the people will start coming either way. But I will never be a fan of putting that curtain up and just admitting that, hey, this is what it is, and we're just gonna go from it from that perspective. I can't admit that. That's just too much of a defeatist attitude. Whether it looks better on TV or not, there's no way that you can convince me that somebody that is a blue blood basketball fan that looks on TV and goes, you mean Oklahoma State has to put up a freaking curtain? That's not a better look than to say they have empty seats. Not to me, it's not. That to me is a giveaway that your program is not supported, and so you're doing that from that perspective. So that's just me disagreeing with one issue there. Hey, I've had season tickets to basketball since about 1980. Matt Clark and Leroy Combs, and then eventually Joe Atkinson and Bill Self, and that entire group, Raymond Crenshaw, Leroy Combs, Lorenza Andrews. We sat about 3 seats down from Matt Clark's mom, and she would sit there the whole time and yell, cheater, cheater, cheater. So, I mean, this is a steeped history of Oklahoma State fans supporting the program. So instead of putting a curtain about it, how about we get aggressive and actually making people go to the games and go about it that way instead. So that's my spiel on that. I'm sure most Oklahoma State fans are going to disagree on that. That is absolutely fine with me. I don't care. I have the right to do that because I go to all the home games. I have always gone to all the home games, and I always will go to all the home games, even in the face of Oklahoma State basketball not being very good at all. So, hey, that brings me to what I want to talk about right now. I'm going to transition to the baseball scrimmage yesterday. Okay, and then actually let me make that a little bit bigger so we don't get the bottom of that screen right there. Let me send that over here, and let me cut that over. This is Noah Weck. Let's get into the scrimmage yesterday. Okay, Noah Weck pitched last night. Matter of fact, the 6 pitchers last night were newcomers, Bryce LeBlanc, Kyle Piercy, Drew Winslow, and then on the black team, Noah Weck started, and then Josiah Golden and Caden Sramick pitched yesterday for Oklahoma State. So let's get into our baseball coverage, and let's talk all about the great action yesterday at OState Stadium. It was just absolutely a beautiful day, and I know the crowds last weekend were absolutely fantastic. So Noah Weck, he was about 91 to 94. Noah spent this summer playing for Fond du Lac actually it's not in the Cape, it's actually in the Northwoods League. I missed that on my social media post, but Northwoods League, Fond du Lac had a great summer. I mean, he was very dominant for long periods of time. Yesterday, got off to a good start, lost the zone a couple of times, gave up a couple of home runs to Colin Brigham. And so, I mean, from a results perspective, wasn't necessarily a great day for Noah Weck, but I'll say this, he was totally in process mode. Fastball looked good, had a really good right turn to it. So it had a lot of movement. And then here is Bryce LeBlanc, 6'7", lefty for Oklahoma State. You can see here, reminds me of Shane Hawk. That's who, if you remember Hawker, who is the head coach now at Choctaw. This is kind of who it reminds me of. Still efforting to nail down the exact mix for Bryce LeBlanc, but fastball looked like both the 4-seam and 2-seam, slider and change. Fastball in the 91-ish area. Then also looked like he was throwing a sweeper around 86, and I think what I'm going to go ahead and call a slider around 84. Again, I messaged some of these guys, and I've gotten exact mixes for some of them. I have not gotten the exact mix on Bryce LeBlanc, so hey, don't exactly quote me on that. But from a shape perspective, it looked like a slider change, maybe a split change, and then also a sweeper in the 86 area. Went to Friendship High School in Lubbock, spent last year at Odessa Community College, and so he has 3 years of eligibility left here at Oklahoma State. So there's a good look at newcomer to Oklahoma State, 6'7" lefty Bryson. I'm going to say Taylor LeBlanc so many different times. So if I say Taylor LeBlanc, just know that I mean Bryce LeBlanc. That's who I'm talking about. Hey, another young man that has a world of potential. How about this right here? Watch this. 3, 2, 1, cup. Well, not yet. You're getting ready to see it here in just a second. Evan Saunders, Oklahoma State, right? Nope, not yet. You're going to see it. Let me wait on it, right? Nope, not. Okay, when is it coming? We're about halfway through right here. Hopefully I have it actually on this video. Yeah, no, here it is. Okay, hold on. Let me back this up. Let you watch it right there. Bam. 3, 2, 1. Liftoff there for Evan Saunders, newcomer into the program, Oklahoma State. Hey, Josh went back into the well to Iowa Western again, if you remember Tanner Credemeyer. Oh, about 10 years ago, he was our Iowa Western. Braden Smith from last year, Iowa Western. How about Evan Saunders, who went yard yesterday, hit .408 last year at Iowa Western, had 12 home runs, 63 RBIs. Hit a home run yesterday, so super excited for Evan Saunders, who transfers to Oklahoma State, I believe with 2 years of eligibility remaining. So super excited to see the instant offense is what he's going to bring this roster this year, kind of like Braden Smith did last year. I've really never known an Iowa Western guy that couldn't hit. And then this is Alex Conover, who, if you remember last year, kind of had to wait his turn out. And then once he kind of got his turn, got injured a little bit, but then got hot down the stretch. So Alex Conover, it was kind of one of those up and down years due to injury, and then point blank some periods to where he just wasn't performing to what we all know his capabilities are. I don't mean that to be negative or anything, just because it was just such a, kind of an up and down year in terms of opportunity and that kind of thing. So good to see Alex Conover back. And hey, I really think in his second year at Oklahoma State, everything is going to slow down for him. And when that happens, if all you need to know about Alex Conover, just ask any of the coaches in Oklahoma that had to play against him, any of the coaches at JUCO that had to play against Cali, what Alex Conover is, and they will tell you he was an absolute dude. So super excited to see things slow down for Alex Conover in his second year. And speaking of the opposite of slowing down, Ezra Essex, one of the fastest, maybe the fastest prospect in the entire 2025 class. This is a dude that ran a 3.77 30-yard dash. He ran a 6.3 60. I will be super excited to time him from home to first. I cover the Dodgers, and he reminds me of a guy named Kendall George, who stole 100 bases. And Kendall George ran a 3.5 to first base this past season. And so super excited about the speed of Ezra Essex, and he's an outfield prospect, freshman out of the Chicago area. Again, one of the fastest players in the draft. But again, he also has some power potential as well. And there were some scouting services that really felt like that if he would have went the draft route, he probably would have went late first day, maybe early second day, which would suggest that he's about around a 4th or 5th round draft pick, somewhere in there, maybe sneak into the 3rd round. That's the type of talent that you're looking at here with Ezra Essex, a freshman outfielder out of Chicago, a young man that easily could have chosen to go the draft route. Again, probably would have been anywhere from 3rd to 5th round, but instead he chose to come to college and play for Coach Holliday, and we are super excited about that. Watch this. Wow. That was a wow home run yesterday from Colin Ritchie. Colin Ritchie, I'm telling you, man, this dude has the look. He's kind of got that Jim Traber / Jimmy Berrigan type of just old school Oklahoma State, big time left-handed hitter feel to him. Colin Ritchie, man, maybe the best baseball player in all of college baseball for the last month. Last season, of course, he was dealing with injury, which really affected OSU last year. Again, 3rd year in the program, you got to think things are going to slow down. Get a really good look at him, because this time next year, he's going to be having finished his first, at least short season of professional baseball. And then from there on, Colin Ritchie, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be playing a lot of baseball. And likely, like I said, as long as he stays healthy, he will be a major leaguer someday. That's just the kind of talent that he has. That's just how good he is. And he hit one of those, home runs yesterday for Oklahoma State. Young man out of Atoka. Wampus Cats are just a little bit different. I have a brother-in-law that is from there, so I can say that. He is a Wampus Cat himself. And so, man, Colin Ritchie could not be more excited to watch his 3rd year in the program. And another young man, 6'2" right here, infielder, mainly infielder. He was taking a lot of ground balls yesterday at shortstop. This is Terrence Bowen. Terrence Bowen is one of those guys. Probably he needs to add some strength. You can see his body there at 6'2". Kind of looks like John Littell at that stage of John Littell's career. Just long and lanky, super projectable. I think right now Terrence Bowen's that young man that you look and you think what could be as he fills into that 6-foot frame, because he can play anywhere from shortstop to second base to right field, and he's a clutch guy. He had a 2-run bomb and had a big hit in the 7th inning of the state championship game just last spring for his high school team. So super athletic freshman, lots of projectability in that 6'2" frame. He's going to grow and get bigger and stronger and grow into that. And you can see right here what I really like. Watch his head. His head stays so still. Watch his eyes track the ball there. That tells you already he's played a tremendous amount of baseball, because it looks like, the way that he's able to stay calm right there and stay still, it's obvious that things have already slowed down for him. So now it's just a matter of growing the body, getting strong enough to compete at this level, of which I think definitely he'll do, because there is a ton of potential inside that 6'2" frame for Terrence Bowen, I should say. Sorry about that. So, hey, Remo Indomenico, he is just like Ezra Essex in the sense that he is from the Chicago area. Super, super talented left-handed stick. Very good outfielder, very good athlete, very projectable tools. Another one of these really fast freshman guys. One thing about this freshman class, Josh, just like last year, made a big haul with very highly thought of, very, very talented freshmen that are great athletes. Another just really, really fast guy that has a lot of power potential. And then also, in Domenico, the tab on him is when he swings, he doesn't miss very often. So this is a bat-to-ball guy that can gather a lot of hits, that also has good power, out of the Chicago area, went to First Academy, very projectable. And then also another thing Josh really likes whenever he recruits guys, he likes multi-sport guys that we're seeing. He likes to go back to the old well like we saw with the Iowa Western. We're going to also cover a pitcher that's from Simi Valley, like Rock Riggio and Justin Campbell. He likes to go back to the well again and get guys from places he's gotten guys from before. He loves multi-sport guys, and then he loves young men that come from winning programs. That's the recruiting formula for Josh Holliday. It's been very successful. Hey, we would like to make Omaha more often. I think this year, this group will have a good chance to do that. So we're not going to get into that conversation, but the recruiting, those are the recruiting aspects of the way Josh does things that have been very successful. So in Domenico, he fits the comes from a winning program category. Class 2A state championship last summer. In Domenico hit .480. He had 11 home runs and 3 triples. So lots of talent from this lefty outfielder. And you talk about a guy who has a lot of arm talent. I'll tell you what, yesterday for me, the wow part of the day was the first pitch from Josiah Golden. That first pitch you just saw, 96 miles an hour. It was like, oh, wow. Okay, so the ball, you see a little bit of a right turn too. Just look, that's 94 to 96. And, you see a little bit of max out effort right there. But for the most part, that's pretty, I think there's more in the tank there, and it's already 96. So, again, this is Josiah Golden. Fastball 94, 96. Cutter, slider in the 86 range. Lots of tumbling to it. You just saw right there him give up the first home run of the day to Colin Brigham, who had a couple of bombs yesterday. Again, this is another one of those back to the well situations. Okay, Golden went to Johnson County. Kind of interesting. Golden threw that pitch to Colin Brigham, and Colin Brigham also went to Johnson County. You can't make this stuff up. So going back to the well at Johnson County, which is the JUCO in the Missouri and the Kansas City area, just like Colin Brigham, who he actually gave up a home run to yesterday. So Josiah Golden, 96 on the first pitch that he saw yesterday. Super excited about just kind of the velo potential for him. And then here's another guy, 6'3" freshman right-hander out of the Kansas City area again. This is Kyle Piercy. Watch him get down the hill. That's pretty good extension right there. You can see the way he spins the ball. Watch the way the ball moves. You can tell that ball spins pretty good. Not official, but it looked like he was throwing a fastball. In the 91-93, looked like a cutter sliderish type pitch. Name it what you want. That's the shape that I saw. Then possibly either a change or a curve. That I couldn't tell with the tumble. You could see the shadows here. Whether it was a curveball, maybe a changeup. Hopefully I get a response from Kyle and I'll nail down his mix where I can be a little bit more accurate in terms of what he was actually throwing. But there you go. There is Kyle Piercy. And then another young pitcher that is super, super, super talented that was fun to watch is Caden Sramick. Caden Sramick, okay, Simi Valley, back to the well. We talked about Johnson County. We've talked about Iowa Western. Now how about back to the Simi Valley well, where the Cowboys plucked member Justin Campbell, who made his return to baseball this year after having that devastating arm injury. Then also Rock Riggio. This is Justin Campbell all over again. Caden Sramick right here, 6 foot, 6'7", just like Justin Campbell. Touched 93 yesterday with his four seam. Also, I do have this confirmed. Changeup, slider, curveball. I mean, this is Justin Campbell maybe with a couple of extra ticks as he moves on because he's already 94. So also another thing that we mentioned that Josh likes, he likes multi-sport athletes. If you remember, Josh played both football and baseball. So did Matt. And so he loves multi-sport athletes. I've watched video of Sramick on a basketball court. The dude can swat the balls away and be an intimidating rim protector down the low paint at 6'7". And then also he can step out on the floor and shoot some threes and run the floor as well. So very good athlete, which, hey, you say athlete is a pitcher. Yes, the more athletic you are, the more chance you have of getting your body in positions that are in athletic positions. And then another thing is, whenever you have guys that are multi-sport guys, they've never had the chance to concentrate only on baseball. And so when a guy like this at 6'7" with such projectability, it becomes baseball only. I mean, literally, there's just no telling what the limit could be for a guy like that. And, another thing that Josh really likes, he loves size. He loves physicalness and size. And so you see the 6'7" there. And then you saw a 6'7" in the lefty that LeBlanc that we covered a minute ago. Here's a 6'5" freshman, 6'5" freshman Drew Winslow out of Troy, Illinois. And so Josh loves going back to the well. He loves multi-sport guys. He loves guys that come from winning backgrounds, winning programs, and he loves big dudes. You see that all over this freshman class. Four seam for Drew Winslow, good spin, velo to beat hitters, but then also he has a two seam that he can move the ball and be kind of a guy that can miss barrels when he's not missing bats. So he has kind of that arsenal that'll allow him to defeat any type of hitter, so that kind of suggests that as he gets bigger and he gets stronger, that he likely will be able to go through lineups multiple different times. So I wanted to cover a lot of these new guys at Oklahoma State and give you a good look at them because it's super exciting. Actually, I have not covered all of the new guys. Shame on me. Let me continue right here. Here's a freshman catcher out of Illinois, Quinn Shambo, 6 foot freshman catcher. Loved Oklahoma State the second he stepped on campus. He chose Oklahoma State over Arkansas and TCU. So I don't necessarily like recruiting rankings. I like to see what other schools are offering. And when you're talking about Arkansas and TCU, if they offered a guy as well as Oklahoma State, that's good enough for me. Shambo played in the future games, got a lot of attention coming out of that. Hey, and yesterday he threw 2 runners out. He threw one out at second, and then he also threw one out at third, and they were both fairly easy. So there's a good look at new-coming freshman catcher Quinn Shambo. So you got the Smithwick kid that we're going to cover here in a minute from Ole Miss, and then you also have Shambo to replace. You lost Bo Sylvester to Arizona, and then you lost Ian Doherty to just graduation, and now he's in pro ball. So you replaced them with a talented freshman catcher, Quinn Shambo, and then an experienced catcher, Campbell Smithwick, out of Ole Miss, and we'll cover him in just a minute. So guys, that have college experience, Brock Thompson, who really went through it last year. Once the injury started piling up, he had to face every single matchup. I really think the games are really going to slow down for him this year. I've talked to scouts about this young man on the West Coast, and I can tell you, hey, there's Garrett Scholl right there. Garrett Scholl is super talented. We'll get to him in a minute too. I think the game is going to slow down for Brock Thompson. I think we saw that down the stretch last year, and when that happens, absolutely watch out, because this is an unbelievably talented young man that can play anywhere on the field. I think his natural spot is probably shortstop, but then again, you have Avery Ortiz, who we're going to talk about right now, who is back and looks very good. Ortiz, man, I'm telling you, when Oklahoma State lost him and Colin Ritchie, but Ortiz, he's that guy, of course, he's your shortstop, he's your leadoff hitter, and he's your guy that can execute all those winning baseball plays. That was a big blow for Oklahoma State last year. So it's good to see Avery Ortiz back. We'll see, who, it's a good problem to have, but we will definitely see who plays the shortstop spot. Will it be, will it be Brock Thompson? Will it be Avery Ortiz? Probably, that I would have to say, just the leader in the clubhouse, if you will, would have to be Avery Ortiz, because he's been that guy, and he was going to be that guy to start last year. But good to see Avery Ortiz back. Also good to have Colin Brigman back. Not good that he didn't get drafted. That kind of sucked, but it's good that he had a good position to come back to. There's his home run off of Noah Weck. He also hit a home run off of his Johnson County boy, for a second home run of the day. So Colin Brigman had 2 home runs yesterday, and the reason why he got to come back to Oklahoma State is because if you remember the quarterback who started at New Mexico State, Diego Pavia, I believe Pavia now is at Vandy. He was the first one to get the injunction to get his years back at JUCO. He started that JUCO rule where JUCO guys get those years back, and Colin Brigman took advantage of that. And once he got that year back, decided to come back to Oklahoma State for one last ride. And talking about a young man who came back to Oklahoma State and got an injunction for an extra year, this guy right here. It was great to see Aiden Miola back on the field yesterday, cutting down that swing. He had a double yesterday for Oklahoma State. Boy, you talk about a guy, if he didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. Let's just all hope that Aiden Miola stays healthy, because if he stays healthy, he is an elite defensive third baseman. He's clutch with the bat. When he gets hot, he absolutely goes on tears, and he is just absolutely tough as hell. This club needs just more, as much as anything, they just need the mentality of Aiden Miola every single day in this lineup. So there's a look at his action yesterday, and then I promised you we would get to the new, the transfer catcher from Ole Miss, Campbell Smithwick. You can see right here, good swing, lots of lift at the front of that swing, likes to dive into that back hip and lift through the baseball, which means he's going to hit a lot of pull side fly balls. And when you hit a lot of pull side fly balls, that means you stand to hit a lot of home runs. Good experience, junior catcher who played a lot as a freshman at Ole Miss, hit .282 last year, had 5 home runs, 23 RBIs in the SEC for the Rebs. Started 24 games as a freshman, 16 of those starts as a freshman at Ole Miss or at catcher. Originally from Conway, South Carolina, and he played on the 18U baseball national team. So lots of great experience for Campbell Smithwick. And then here is another position player this time, but another one of the freshmen in this class for Oklahoma State, Cole Pladson. So Cole Pladson is a young man out of Kansas, just northwest of he's from just northwest of Manhattan, which from Clay Center, Kansas. If you've ever been there, I've been there a couple times in my life. So he bypassed, K-State to come to Oklahoma State. This is a dude that was a dude in high school. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year 2 years in a row in Kansas. He had 12 home runs, 46 RBIs in 26 games. Very talented young left-handed stick. And so all in all, a good day yesterday. Again, Noah Weck, Bryce LeBlanc, Kyler Piercy, Drew Winslow, Josiah Golden, Caden Sramick. I don't know how to pronounce it yet. I'll have to ask somebody today exactly how it's S-R-A-M-E-K. I think it's Sramick, so we'll see. I'll change that as we go. Forgive me on that. He's one of those newcomers. And Colin Brigham had 2 home runs yesterday. Colin Ritchie had a home run. Evan Saunders had a home run. Aiden Miola, Garrett Scholl both had doubles as well. And then also another party yesterday, the Cowboys had a bunch of lengthy two strike at bats, especially against Noah Weck. And I know Coach Holliday was very, very, very pleased with the 2 strike approach yesterday. The Cowboys, they had a bunch of guys that were just fouling off pitches, refusing to strike out and going deep into pitch count. So that was a big deal as of yesterday. This team is talented. It has experience. It also has a lot of youth that we covered. You also have Mario Pesca, Hunter Watkins, Stormy Rhodes, and Ethan Lund that we have not covered today. I would assume they're going to throw today and tomorrow. We'll cover them as we get video on them as they throw in their game. So a very complete roster for Coach Josh Holliday, and so super excited about getting the baseball scrimmages started. I know last weekend it was a total success. Lots of people came and watched for Oklahoma State. So hey, I wanted to get in all the baseball talk and some of the basketball, some of the football. So that's going to do it for me for Oklahoma State Daily Live, for OState Daily Live. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, go Pokes.